a video from Beau of the Fifth Column, hot off the presses. He discusses something that I had the raw clip for that I'd rather, frankly, play Beau recapping. In short, the raw clip is this. A representative gets up, talks to a climate expert, and makes, through their questioning, makes the case that, oh, wait, my state, which I'm acknowledging that climate change is real, but my state is going to get warmer, and that will be good for my kind of cold state. That's what they say. It's insanity. It's insanity. It's like saying, well, listen, the ship is sinking, but I'm on the middle deck right now. So if this thing breaks in half and you're saying it's going to sink like this, I'm at, my deck is actually going to be raised up before we all go under and are drowned. That's the argument. I don't want to give this guy airtime anywhere. I don't want his name to be spread around because I haven't yet decided if that is of value or if that is of more harm. But I'll tell you somebody who I don't mind spreading around, Beau of the Fifth Column. Let's listen to what he had to say about it. I'm going to chime in with where I think we should take this, certainly rhetorically and also at the ballot box.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Beau again.
Howdy,
So
Beau.
today we are going to talk about a study, the climate, the Republican Party's ever-evolving stance when it comes to the climate, and a new development, one that I have to admit I did not see coming, and a senator from Wisconsin, Ron Johnson. We are going to go through that, and then we're going to add some context and turn the rates into real numbers. Okay. So Senator Johnson was talking to an expert, asking them about their study. And it dealt with the impacts of climate on mortality, I want to say out to 2100. Johnson from Wisconsin kind of very much honed in on the idea that because his state is cold, as the climate warms, it's beneficial to his state, in that he could take comfort. These are actual words that were used, comfort, in the study.
Real quick, just want to point out, because I don't believe Beau does, what a way to show that you don't understand farmers. What a way to show that you really don't understand the agricultural community. Farmers, when they grow in a certain region, if they have a crop that they've already paid Monsanto for, or yada yada, kind of sucks when the climate in that region changes. It affects how the crops grow. That's not even to yet address the point Beau's about to make. I'm just saying, starting off, it's a nonsensical way to look at things. It's the kind of thing you would say if you were a representative like Ron Johnson is representing his folks, who was just scrambling for an excuse of a talking point to rattle off over something as serious as the global temperatures getting out of control because of what we are doing. United States' second biggest contributor to climate change. Asinine. We don't have time to play games like this anymore.
The expert did attempt to explain to the senator that there are 49 other states in the United States. That did not seem to really have any impact. But we have apparently hit the point where the Republican
A conservative was being selfish? No.
Party has moved from climate change isn't a thing to, okay, it's real, but it's not happening because of people. With there a brief stop, I think, at yes, people have something to do with it. And now, yes, it's happening, but it's good actually. The expert did explain that it's a global thing. Again, not information that Johnson really seemed to process. He seemed very intent on pointing out that most of the issues, at least up to 2100, would occur in Africa, and that it was in red, and the blue areas are where things would be okay, and he was in the blue. The expert did everything he could to point out the unequal effects of climate change, and it just did not seem to go anywhere. The rates, when they do studies like this, they talk about extra or excess deaths per 100,000. Sometimes it's super useful to go ahead and convert those into real numbers to get a good picture of the problem. On average, across the globe, assuming we're not just talking about Wisconsin, which apparently exists in a vacuum, the rates, if you were to calculate the excess deaths with a population of 8 billion, global population of 8 billion, you're looking at around 6.8 million extra deaths a year. These are the numbers that are being shrugged off. Now, again, people like to think things happen and they don't impact other things. If you lived in an area that was suddenly hostile to human life, would you stay there? Or would you move to one of the blue areas? 6.8 million people a year. I mean, that sounds like something that might cause mass migration.
I'm just going to let Beau finish this relatively short video, but pay attention to that because we are going to make a pitch at the end of this. And think of your own ideas, by the way, because we're going to look at what the Wicked community has to say as well. We're going to make a pitch to every major political faction in the U.S. about why you should take climate change seriously. But let's let Beau finish. Remember that those millions of refugees, that'll be relevant.
Which would put a strain on infrastructure, resources, everything. Rest assured, even if you live somewhere that is chilly, climate change is a global game. Everybody has to get involved. It is one of the most, if not the most, pressing issues that humanity has to deal with. It isn't something that respects state lines or international borders. And it doesn't stop just because the model stops in 2100. A politician's position on climate and actually doing something to mitigate should probably be a defining characteristic. It should be something that is heavily considered when you're talking about giving that person your vote. Rest assured, the Republican Party is totally going to embrace the idea that the U.S. is in a blue area for the next 100 years or whatever, and therefore this isn't really something we need to worry about.
For the record, the U.S. is not in an entirely blue area. A lot of the states in the South, as a matter of fact, as we've discussed, are going to get hit. But we're going to talk about that more in a moment.
That's not the way this works, not in the long term. We don't have time for the Republican Party to catch up here.
Yes.
We don't have time for the Democratic Party to acknowledge there's an issue and not take huge steps to mitigate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.
You as well, Beau, of the fifth column. All right. So, a couple of corrections, not for Beau, but just for that exchange that happened. The U.S. is absolutely going to get hit more and more. It's already being hit by climate change. A lot of the extraordinary weather events that we're enduring are a direct result of climate change. It's going to keep happening. It's going to get worse. We looked at the states that it's going to happen to. Florida, surprise, surprise, Arizona, all kinds of places, funny enough, that are very, very red. They're going to get hammered by this. Let's make a pitch to every major faction in the GOP. Excuse me, not the GOP. Every major faction in America, starting with the GOP. I'm talking to the big business, really peasant-minded Republicans. The ones that view business leaders as royalty and believe it is our job to grovel to them. You fools. It's going to be terrible for business. It's going to be terrible for agriculture. It's going to be truly destructive when the whole world is dealing with climate change. Let's make a pitch to the racist MAGA folks that will say they're not racist, but then watch whoever Tucker Carlson's replacement is rattling off great replacement theory and other nonsense. The folks that were fine with immigrants from Norway, but had a problem with immigrants from Africa. If people are fleeing Africa, they have to go somewhere. You don't like border crises? Well, gosh, you might take an interest in the climate. Let's make a pitch to progressives. Nothing. You already know. Vote in primaries. You know why this is bad? You've looked at the numbers. You don't need more pitching. Make a pitch to Democrats who drag their feet. You need to show the world, you need to show the next generation as well, by the way, that you are serious. You need to show that you are different from the Republican Party. Right now, all that talk about a uniparty is because of things like this. So if you're a centrist Democrat who goes, I care about climate change, I'm going to vote for somebody who says, really, really important things. I mean, I don't really pay attention to how they vote, but if they say that this is important, I won't listen for any policy they pitch about it. You need to take this seriously. This needs to be something you ask your representatives specifically about. This wishy-washy acknowledging that it's a problem but doing nothing about it, that is why, more so than cultural reasons, that is why you lose votes to Republicans, because they don't take you seriously, because why would anyone, centrist Democrat, take you seriously? You're not a serious person. Your candidates are not serious. So there's a pitch to the individual groups. Here's a pitch to the whole. Economically, this is going to hammer us. The U.S. is in a Goldilocks situation with where we wound up. Why is the U.S. so dominant across the world? Well, because we have just a ludicrous amount of resources, and they are set up in such a way that we really have everything we need right chow. Why was the U.S. able to churn out so many, literally, more planes than pilots in World War II? Because we had the stuff to make them. We had the steel, we had the canvas, we had everything needed to assemble them. We had the factories. We are set up perfectly to be the rich kids of the world, but that will go away if the world is tossed into chaos. It's being dipped into chaos right now, and it's hanging on by a thread. So all of us should care about this. See what the Wicked community has to say about this.